The largest holiday of the year is nearing, and if you're looking to generate holiday sales at your apparel business this year, then you've come to the right place. We're going to be going over how to source holiday blanks, how to print them, and how to start stocking up your inventory to prepare yourself for the largest holiday. I'm Jenna with Stahls TV, and thanks for joining me live from the Craft Corner. And we're going to be going over a ton of fun stuff and also be doing some giveaways throughout the broadcast. So if you join me in GoToWebinar, you don't have to do anything to enter. You're already entered by joining in on the broadcast. So we'll be picking a number from there to be doing a giveaway. If you're joining me on Facebook Live, we're going to be picking a number at the end based off of who liked this post. So be sure to like the broadcast, and then that will enter you into the giveaway. All right, so we're actually going to be giving away some of the items that we press here, and we're going to be doing a bunch of demonstrations for two different opportunities that you have for printing for the holiday season. And one is gifting, and the second is home decor. Those two seem to be the biggest opportunities for this time of year. So those are some of the items that we're going to be, well, the markets that we're going to be pressing items for. I have two heat presses on the side of me. They definitely both have their purpose for today's demo. I'm going to be printing one at a very low temperature, hence the two presses. But we're going to be doing the majority of our demonstrations from the Hotronix Fusion. Right, so it's the swing away press and the draw press that allows us to interchange a lot of different Platens that will allow me to print all of these gifting accessories that we're going to be doing today. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Is it time to start getting ready for a holiday, the big holiday of the year? Obviously Christmas, and New Year's follows shortly after, so keep that in mind as well whenever you're printing for all of these large holidays coming up. Halloween is just a few days away, but right as October comes to an end, that is when people start to look in retail stores and craft stores and what have you for the gift items that they want to give to their loved ones for the holiday. So it's very important to start getting your product out there and showing them all of the different stuff that you can offer them. So you're either going to be very excited to get started with heat printing, or you're feeling a little overwhelmed. And I know I'm excited to show you some of this stuff that you can offer at your business that will yield very high profits for the holiday season. So we'll go ahead and head to the heat press and get started on all these fun demonstrations. All right, so we're going to be doing some basic applications for the first couple ones that we do, okay? So it's just going to be some single color applications, but definitely single color applications on some of those hard to print accessories that are very popular for the holiday season. And I'll also be pointing out and going over pricing and some profit that you can see whenever you're offering this at your business. Okay, so for the first application we're going to be printing on is the poncho from Wholesale Boutique. So this is a Wholesale Boutique item, and I'm going to be pressing Premium Plus on this. And the reason I want to start with this is because it's going to require a certain type of platen, a certain type of temperature and application so that we're not ruining this fabric. So what's nice about the versatility of heat transfer vinyl, the reason why there's so many out there, is because it will, each different one applies to a different type of material. So we're going to be printing on a fabric that is very thin and lightweight. So we need a very thin and lightweight product to go on there so it's nice and comfortable for the person that's going to be wearing this. So the end buyer. Okay, so right now I have my shoe platen loaded on, so I'm going to go ahead and unload that and load in my 6x10 platen so that I can get that one area secluded that I'm going to be pressing. So my Premium Plus is the heat transfer vinyl that I'm going to be using for this. And I'm just going to load it on here. And the reason I have this Thermo-Tape on here is because I already have it placed out where I want it to be on the poncho. So typically whenever I'm printing these hard to print areas of a garment, so a poncho is very large, it doesn't have any sleeves, it only has a neck hemline for you to base or judge based off of where you're going to be placing your garment. So what I did was just threw this on, put it where I wanted it to be, and then taped it exactly where I knew I wanted to press it at. Okay, so just a little tip for finding the right type of placement for where you're applying your transfer. All right, so of course I'm going to cover with my cover sheet. and I'm going to apply this at a medium to light pressure at 300 degrees. Now keep in mind, Premium Plus applies as low as 280 degrees, so it's going to be good for any of those fabrics that have rayon or 100% polyester in it that typically scorch under high heat. So that's why I chose this heat transfer vinyl for this particular garment. And you can see that there is a little box here, but that will fall out. This is just basically like an iron mark. It's not a scorch mark or anything, so you don't have to worry about that. Now with this transfer, the Premium Plus that we're using, it is a warm pill. So we're going to let that cool for just a little bit before we pill it back. And then I can go ahead and pill my transfer away. All right, so you notice I waited just a little bit before peeling this away because Premium Plus is a warm to cool pill, so you want to be careful with that. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this around and show you the placement on this poncho. So this is the neckline where this would go on, and all I did again was just threw this on, how it would be worn. I based it off of how the models had it on online. So this was purchased from Wholesale Boutique, and they give a demonstration of how it's supposed to be worn. So it gives you the perfect idea of where your placement should be if you're kind of going back and forth. So if you have the neckline, you could easily do a left chest, or I chose to do the bottom hemline just because you can never be too careful. You never know exactly how this is going to be worn by the end user, so the customer that you're selling this to. So just to be careful, just keep that in mind. Utilizing the bottom hemline whenever you're personalizing hard to print areas such as this one. All right, now I'll go ahead and bring up the slide for that so we can go over pricing and the cost of the blank and whatnot. Again, this was purchased from Wholesale Boutique, and the blank cost was $10. Right there you can see the price breakdown, and we're going to be doing this for every demonstration that we show here today. Our HTV cost was just the Premium Plus, that's 15 cents, and then the L&O stands for labor and overhead. So anytime you're pricing your garments or what you're selling to your customers, you want to make sure you're always including your labor and overhead. I do want to point out, however, that that can vary based off of your business. You may be charging a certain percentage differently than someone else. So say you're charging 15% for your labor and overhead as opposed to someone that is charging 20%. Okay, so it can vary based off of your business and your location, so just keep that in mind. That's based off of where I'm located. And also my sell price is based off of what I know I can sell my end products at. So I know people in my area would pay $35 for this easily, and then my profit's going to come in at $23.70. Ultimately, you want to keep in mind about what your customers are willing to pay for. You know better than I do what they'd be willing to pay for that, but I'm just kind of giving you a broad idea based off of some research that I've done on Etsy, what some stuff is being sold there for, and then also considering my location and my demographic. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next demonstration since we have a lot of unique items that we're going to be doing today. And I don't want to miss out on applying any. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment them in at any point. I'll be scrolling through the Facebook comments at some point, and I also have Joe here working with me, letting me know when questions come in through GoTo. So feel free to comment any of those in if you have any questions. Okay, so for the next application, we have a bootie. Okay, so this kind of has like a nice suede fabric to it, and it's very sought after. We see a lot of these blank booties in retail stores such as Target or Buckle, which is another popular one in this area. So you will definitely be seeing these in retail stores, but the reason someone would want to buy it from you as opposed to a retail store is because you have the ability to offer personalization. Okay, so we're going to be showing you how to apply a fashion film transfer to this. I actually stuck it in my boot and totally forgot. But the fashion film transfer is just a metallic gold. So one thing you want to keep in mind whenever you're choosing a material type to put on this, that you want something that's going to be able to apply at a low temperature. And then something that's very subtle as well. So you don't want to go as far as doing something very bright, such as foil or glitter. It's always going to be based off of your demographic. So you may have customers that would be interested in that, but typically in this area we keep things very low luster and subtle whenever we're decorating items that are very high end. Okay, so this bootie was also purchased from Wholesale Boutique, and for this application what I'm going to do is cover with my cover sheet, and I'm just going to tack it on there for just 2 to 3 seconds. Okay, so I'm just going to swing my press back around and adjust my pressure slightly, and then I can go ahead and lock this down. I want it to be at about a medium pressure, so if you're working with a Hotronix, that'll read anywhere between 5 and 6, and or from 4 to 6, sorry. So 4, 5, and 6, that's going to be our medium pressure. So now that that's applied for just a couple seconds, I'm going to go ahead and peel this carrier back. All right, so we know that fashion film applies anywhere from 15 to 20 seconds, so we know that this did not get its full application. So what we're going to need to do is apply it for its full application so we know that we have a nice durable transfer on there. Now I don't want to do that right off the bat because this suede material is very finicky under high heat, so we need to be very careful about how much heat we're putting onto this boot in order to get a nice finish that still has that very nice suede texture to it and not damage it under that heat. So we're going to be using a cover sheet known as a flexible application pad. So it's a silicone rubberized cover sheet that's going to absorb some of that heat from me and not crush or ruin the fabric of that suede. So we're able to add this personalization without having to worry about anything melting underneath that high heat. So anytime you're using a flexible application pad, you want to make sure you're increasing your dwell time an additional 10 seconds. So I know that my fashion film can apply as low as 15 seconds, but I want to make sure that I'm increasing an additional 10 seconds so that the heat has enough time to get through that application pad and down into the adhesive that's underneath my fashion film. Okay, so that adhesive has to have time to bond to those fibers in order for it to be a durable finish. So if someone were to throw this in the wash or put any spray on it or anything for to save that suede in the harsh winter or fall, then it's something that's going to allow that to be more durable, and you won't have to worry about anything falling off or an unhappy customer coming back about their boots being ruined. Okay, so that applied just fine, and what's nice about that flexible application pad is it has a nice texture to it. I'm going to go ahead and put it up close to this camera. You may be able to pick it up, but it really kind of gives that fashion film a nice texture to it because fashion film is so matte, it can easily pick up nice texture. So this has a little kind of like a leather texture to it, so it kind of added that to the finish of this fashion film, which just made it even more stand out. So I don't want to say standoffish, obviously, but it definitely made it pop off of that garment. So just keep that in mind, that that rubberized silicone pad can also texturize your vinyl, so it may be something you want to include whenever you're applying faux leather. So that's definitely something that's very popular. Before we go on to our faux leather application, I want to apply a felt hat. Okay, so just keep in mind that felt is another material that is easily scorched under really high heat. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to my 9x12 press because I have it set down to a temperature. I'm sorry, it restarted on me. All right, so we're going to go ahead and set that up to 250 degrees here, and it's going to go ahead and heat up, and we can move on to our next applications. But I'm just going to go ahead and reset this, and then we'll get back to that application so that you guys can see that done. So we're going to be applying patterns to it, and we can apply patterns as low as 250 degrees. So I'm going to be showing you that application just so that you know you have some versatility there for applying felt fabrics. All right, so we'll go ahead and bring up the pricing right now because I kind of skipped over that for the shoe, and talk about the profit opportunity that you can create if you're offering this at your business this holiday season. All right, so our blank cost was $25. Again, this was purchased from Wholesale Boutique. Okay, so my heat transfer vinyl cost, because I'm using so much such a small area on that boot, I only need so much heat transfer vinyl there. So my heat transfer vinyl cost comes in fairly low. Now my labor and overhead is $1.14 and my sell price is $48. Again, this is something that we're seeing in retail, and then even when you add personalization to that, it really marks that price up for someone, knowing that they can get their monogram on there. Okay, and so our profit's going to be $21.81. So whenever you are personalizing, just keep in mind your blank items. Okay, so this may not be something you want to output the cost of, but you can also pre-charge your customer for that. So if it's something that you even take a picture of and put it onto social media and show people that this is something that you can offer, they can always purchase that boot, and then you can add the personalization on there for an additional price. So just keep that in mind. There's always different ways that you can go about adding blanks that are high in cost, as opposed to a t-shirt that we're typically getting anywhere from $2 to $5 depending on the type of fabric that we're using. So seeing a price like that can kind of jump out at you, but just keep in mind that this is very sought after. It's in retail. It's high end because of that suede fabric. So people are going to be more willing to pay more for it. All right, so as this heat press goes ahead and heats up, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next application, and we'll come back to that one. Okay, so I'm going to remove the shoe platen and drop in my 6x10 again. Or I could use the 4x4 depending on the size of my transfer here. So I could easily just drop in that 4x4 or turn this into a profile. Okay, so it's all bases off your garment and this size of your transfer, so just keep that in mind. All right, so you can see that there are a lot of areas in this purse that we want to avoid. So we don't want this to be under the press. We want to avoid the straps, and we also want to avoid this tag. So what we're going to do is place this on the platen so that no areas inside of here are going to be getting in the way. Okay, so I can go ahead and lift this up. Make sure that pocket is totally out of the way whenever I load this on. And what's nice about this is it has nice threadability. So I can put this purse on here, and I'm only going to be working with this area right here. Okay, so of course we want to apply our heat transfer. So I'm going to be doing our fashion film again. I find this the easiest heat transfer vinyl to use whenever we're applying faux leather. And again, just like we did with those shoes, we're going to be tacking this for just 2 to 3 seconds. I'm going to move this plastic up just to be safe. Now, of course, if I'm selling this, I want to make sure that I'm leaving all of that stuff intact because I want it to look brand new to the customer. If that stuff was removed, it wouldn't look as new. So it's just all about quality. All right, so I tacked my heat transfer vinyl. And you can see that the fashion film, because of the nature of it, is starting to take on the texture of this leather, which I just find giving it a very high perceived value. Now, of course, we want to cover again with our flexible application pad and apply it for that additional dwell time. Okay, so fashion film again applies typically anywhere between 15 to 20 seconds. So I'm going to increase my time here to 25 seconds total. All right, so you may have noticed the difference in personalization. I just want to point that out. So typically you see a lot of monogramming put onto purses, but you can definitely do different styles of personalization. I find that a common one is just choosing one letter of their initials and putting that onto the bag as well with a cute little frame around it. All right, so whenever you're printing for the holiday season, it's always nice to find unique, different ways to add personalization, especially if you are doing a lot of promotion for the products that you're offering. Okay, so you can see the completed look here, and it took on that same texture that we saw from earlier. Now, it looks like it's on the back side of the purse, right, because we switched this around, but this completely comes off of the purse. You can totally move this to the front and not even worry about that, okay? So don't worry, it's not on the back. You can swap each side, but having the versatility of interchangeable Platens or even heat printing pillows. And I want to point that out too, because if you're working with a press that doesn't necessarily have the ability to interchange these Platens, you can work with pillows. Okay, so pillows allow me to get a nice flat surface and kind of isolate one area in order to print hard to print items. So this one, when I say hard to print items, that means I'm working with a lot of additional hardware. So these metal buttons and snaps that are in here and this pocket. Now keep in mind, whenever you're choosing a supplier for these blanks, you want to find one that is manufacturing their stuff with the apparel decorator in mind. Okay, so whenever they're producing this, they're thinking about embroiderers, screen printers, heat printers, and they think about all that extra stuff that's going to allow us to print these things very easily. So this removable pocket is ideal for a heat printer because we want to isolate that area. Okay, so just keep that in mind whenever you're thinking about your suppliers. Again, this was Wholesale Boutique, and we'll go ahead and bring up the profit opportunity for that. The vegan leather purse blank cost was $20, and again, this item was from Wholesale Boutique as well. And our heat transfer vinyl cost, again, is going to be a little lower because we're only working with a small piece of heat transfer vinyl. So that's 10 cents. Our labor and overhead is $1.15, and our sell price is $50. So we're looking at a profit of $28.75. So that is the faux leather bag, and we'll definitely get back to the pricing on that as soon as we get everything back up and running. And I'm just going to double check my press over here, make sure that I'm getting heat up very quickly. All right, so I am at 250, and I can go ahead and apply my patterns now, okay? So I just want to make sure I'm reading that correctly. Yep, 250. All right, so it didn't take us much time at all to get that heat press heated up. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my hat. So I'm only going to be applying this small area back here. So I'm able to isolate this very easily by just laying that right on top of the platen. Okay, and I just want to point out that I'm also printing the back end of the hat so that whenever this is worn, it'll be seen in the back. Okay, so very easily done. If you have a cap press, you can put it up on the visor part of the hat. But of course, we're just working with this one, so I'm just going to place it down on the bottom, which is another popular print area for the floppy hats. Okay, so I know I'm in the back because my leather strap ends there, and that's also where my tag is at. So I'm going to peel my patterns back away from the carrier. This is the first time introducing, or not introducing patterns to you guys, but in this class that we're going to be using this. And this is our gingham pattern, okay, and you can see I'll show you a variety of different patterns that you can choose for our holiday season. All right, so I'm just going to apply this at 250 degrees, so patterns can be dropped as low as that as long as you are not laundering the item. So since this hat isn't necessarily something that can go through a wash cycle and hold up durably, I know that I can apply my patterns as low as that without it falling off. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and lock my press down. And I'm just going to apply that for 10 seconds. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If you're looking to do different styles of fabrics that are hard to print and you don't want to risk scorching, you can use patterns and apply it as low as 250 degrees. All right, so I can go ahead and peel my carrier back, and I have my personalized floppy hat all done in the gingham pattern. I'll go ahead and lift that up so that you guys can get a feel for that pattern there. The felt hat, also purchased from Wholesale Boutique, is $12, and that heat transfer vinyl cost for the masking and the patterns is 13 cents. So my labor and overhead is going to increase slightly because we had to do that masking process. So it's going to be $1.24, and our sell price is going to be $28 and a profit of $14.63. All right, and I just want to show you real quick some of the other patterns that you can get for the holiday season. So you can see some of those I have displayed back here, but I want to point out that all of the stock patterns that we carry are completely custom to you. So you can choose all of the different colors that you want. So I can choose this in blue, gold, and white if I wanted to include this at a school fundraiser. Of course, I want to do red, white, green, and gold or what have you for Christmas, because those are popular colors for that holiday season. So we have all of those different styles of patterns, and you can completely custom choose all of the different colors. A little chart will pop up for all the different colors that you can choose, and it's all on the Stahls website. So if you go to our CAD-CUT section and choose patterns, they'll all be there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and keep moving along. So the next item that we're going to be printing is the onesie. Okay, so our onesie is perfect for custom apparel if you're looking to offer something like that this year for the holiday season. So this is very popular for a variety of different reasons, because you can fit so many different demographics into this one. Okay, so custom t-shirts allows me to offer those variety of different styles for my mommy and me style. So if I want to do a matching shirt with for a mom and a son, I can do that with this. And then also popular graphics. So we'll go ahead and get into the popular things that or sayings that you can use on these. And for this one, we're going to be doing Santa's Little Helper, which is obviously perfect for the children's apparel market. And then all other options that you have for other demographics are popular sayings or lyrics with very well-known songs for the holiday season. So that's definitely something we're seeing a lot of. And then just being able to use popular finishes whenever you are doing your graphic. Okay, so I have a 1, 2, 3, 4 color graphic here that we're going to be using, one utilizing patterns. Okay, so I have all my fashion film here. I'm just going to be layering this all out onto my onesie, and I'll show you how easy this process is. You're probably looking at this and thinking, oh goodness, how is she going to do this? But it's very simple, and it's not as time consuming as it may seem. Okay, so with the versatility of heat transfer vinyl, as I mentioned, it is very easy to tack material and be able to lay other materials in. Okay, so what we're going to do is start with the largest layer and tack it for just 2 to 3 seconds. Okay, so make sure we're covering with our cover sheet, and we're just going to tack that for 2 to 3 seconds, and then we can go ahead and peel that hot. All right, so this tacking method allows me to lay in each piece of my heat transfer vinyl very quickly, but not only is it going to be quick, it's also going to save me the chance of the material shrinking under high heat. So if you're working a lot with heat transfer vinyl, I'm sure you're familiar with a material shrinking underneath high heat. So that doesn't allow for registration to line up correctly, and it kind of just messes up your design if you're not using that tacking method. Okay, so just keep that in mind if you want to achieve very detailed or multicolor graphics. Okay, so I can go ahead and peel that back, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay in the last pieces of my design so that I can move forward. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just line all of those extra little pieces that we have in different colors up. But for this one, I'm going to be doing a tack method one more time. And whoops. And the reason I'm doing that is because the carrier that these heat transfer vinyls come on will start to make marks in my smooth matte material there. So we want to make sure we're just tacking that material in order for it to apply real quick and not damaging any of the other graphics that pieces of the graphic that we already laid down. So I'm tacking that again, and then as soon as I'm done peeling these carriers, I can go ahead and apply it for its full application. Okay, so the last two materials that I laid down were fashion, film, and patterns. So what I want to do is make sure that I'm giving them their full application. So I need to do this for a total of 15 seconds in order for that adhesive to have time to bind to those fibers. Okay, so just keep that in mind whenever you're applying a couple different materials. You always want to do the final application at the highest time that it allows. Okay, so patterns typically would only take me 10 seconds, but I want to give it an additional 5 in order to meet the requirements for the fashion film, because we want to make sure it's getting a very durable finish. Okay, so you can see that application there, and I'll go ahead and hold it up here. So what we have is a nice metallic gold paired with our patterns and our red and white fashion film. Okay, so like I said, this is perfect for that market, such as boutiques or children's apparel, for custom tees that have text and sayings that go with the holiday. The onesie blank cost from Rabbit Skins from S&S Activewear was $4.85. My heat transfer vinyl cost is 44 cents. My labor and overhead, since we had to do so many layers there, was $1.01. Now I can sell this onesie at $18, so that's where my profit comes in at $11.70. All right, so our next application is going to be a fun burlap Santa sack. So this is something that we're seeing very popular in retail stores, even on Etsy and a lot of e-commerce sites. So what I did for this one was I went ahead and purchased one that was printed, and then I'm going to add my personalization to it. Okay, so I'm using Flake for this application, and this was purchased from a local Michael's craft store. So just keep in mind on where to source the Santa sacks that are very popular this year. Michael's is one of them. I know Target carries some, just based off of some groups that I'm involved with on Facebook. Those are some of the sources that they were pointing out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and load on my 11 by 15. And I want to make sure that I'm being very careful with my upper heating element, because I'm printing something that has been pre-printed. So I'm just going to go ahead and load this on and line up my personalization exactly where I want it. So I want my For Evelyn to be placed right above the other graphic that has been screen printed. And I don't have to worry here about layering over top or anything, because this is just a screen print, and I know my heat transfer vinyl can be layered right over top. Okay, so I'm just gonna move that over slightly. I have all the bulk of my Santa sack off of the Platens, so I know I'm getting a nice flat surface. But as I mentioned, we wanna cover up that area that had been pre-printed. So we're gonna cover with our cover sheet and apply that for its recommended application. Okay, so Flake is gonna apply at a medium pressure for just 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, so my time's already set up there for 15 seconds. So I'm just going to wait for that to count down, and the press will let me know by beeping when it is done. Okay, so another thing that you want to keep in mind if you are new to heat transfer vinyl is that each heat transfer vinyl has a different application. Okay, so this is a nice Flake finish, and it's going to have a different application because it's just a completely different heat transfer vinyl as opposed to some of the glitters and the stretchy vinyl and the matte vinyl that we have applied already. Okay, so you can see that has a nice matte finish on, or not matte finish, but a texturized finish on there. And it's pairing up very nicely with this burlap. Okay, so just being able to add personalization to items that are already printed and you know are popular for the season is a very easy thing to offer and do at your business, because you can upcharge this for about $10 to $15. Okay, so this blank I know was roughly around $6, so you can get a really nice profit from this by just adding 2 words to something. Okay, you can also find these blank from some suppliers. I don't know them right off the hand, but I know that they are out there. I was just at Everything Embroidery in Chattanooga, and there was an entire booth dedicated to doing burlap items such as the Santa sack and even pillow wraps and a variety of different other stuff. So just keep that in mind whenever you're supplying. You can do pre-printed ones at a local craft store, or you can buy them in bulk blank and do the entire graphic yourself. And I know our sister company, Transfer Express, they just came out with transfers that you can use on this fabric. So be sure to check that out, because if you are buying them blank, it makes it very easy to just apply those right on there and you're done. The Santa sack was purchased from Michael's at $6.29. My heat transfer vinyl cost was 53 cents to add that personalization done in flock. My labor and overhead was 88 cents. My sell price can range anywhere between $15 to $20 there. I have it priced at $15, so my profit is $7.30. We'll go ahead and move on to the next. And these are some really fun items because they are so bright and colorful and they just scream happy holidays. Okay, so this stocking is from Viv and Lou, and I'm going to be pairing a pattern heat transfer vinyl with it, okay? So I noticed that this was a nice polka dot pattern on there already, but I wanted to utilize that and really bring it out in my design. So I have pattern polka dot heat transfer vinyl in the same color scheme, and then I'm going to be pairing glitter flake around it just to add a little pop of something extra. All right, so I'm going to unload my 11 by 15, and I'm working with a very slim fit stocking here. So I'm going to go ahead and load in my 6 by 20 leg and sleeve platen, because I know I can just slide my stocking right on there. I'm just going to lock that into place. I want to test my pressure real quick. Anytime you're working with several different platens, you want to make sure that you are testing your pressure anytime you load one in and out. All right, so I'm just working with this area, and I have that all loaded on, so I can go ahead and apply my patterns. Again, we're going to use that same tacking method, and you can see here that my design is too large for this platen, so probably should have loaded that on there and tested it before I did this. But all I'm going to do is utilize that heat printing pillow that I was telling you about earlier. So we'll just pop this 11 by 15 back on there real quick, lay this heat printing pillow down. We're going to test our pressure one more time since we're working with several different items on here now, and my pressure is okay. So I can just go ahead and lay that right on there. And this pillow is going to absorb these thick seams that I'm working around and apply just this area, okay? So these are going to be absorbed down into the pillow, and it's going to raise this print area that I'm trying to apply my personalization to. Okay, so we're going to apply this with just a 2-second tap, since we're layering down 2 different colors and 2 different heat transfer vinyl types. So I can go ahead and peel this carrier back hot, and I can lay in my glitter flake. All right, so glitter flake is also another material that we want to tack on there. So what we're going to do is apply it for just a couple seconds, and then we can go ahead and peel that carrier back. I'm going to point out here why as soon as I show you this carrier. And you may already be familiar with it if you're working with a lot of glitter flake. Okay, so you can see in this carrier that there are a lot of glitter particles left over. Not because glitter flake falls off whenever you go to rub it or anything. It's completely a true glitter texture. It doesn't fall off whenever you apply it, but some is just left over from the lamination process. So what we have to do is just tack that real quick so that it doesn't transfer over to our matte vinyl, and then we'll apply it for its full application. Okay, so glitter flake applies anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. So we'll apply that at its entire dwell time so that it's nice and durable whenever we give it to our customer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that cover sheet, and then our personalized stocking is complete. So this stocking was roughly $6 from Viv and Lou at Wholesale Boutique. Okay, and these can be sold anywhere between $15 to $18 for personalization. Now just keep in mind that's going to vary based on your demographic, but most people are willing to give these as gifts with their personalization on it, filling it with little stocking stuffers. Just makes for either a perfect gift item or even a home decor item to hang on their fireplace, on their stairwell, anywhere really that they can display this very nicely. This stocking also purchased from Wholesale Boutique. which is a Viv and Lou brand. The blank cost was $6. Our heat transfer vinyl cost is just 50 cents. Labor and overhead is 88 cents. Our sell price is going to be $16, and our profit is $8.62. So for the next application, it's definitely something similar, but we're doing something instead of glitter flake with patterns, we're going to be doing foil with patterns, okay? So this is definitely a tricky application because you have to be careful with the foil and patterns whenever you're pairing them together. So since I'm working with such a large print area, since we'll be printing a tree skirt, we're going to load in our 16 by 20. Okay, so the 16 by 20 is going to give me enough print area to do a nice design on there easily with a nice flat pressure. Okay, so I need to test my pressure. We're at a 1, so we want to make sure we're at a nice medium pressure for that patterns application. So I'm just going to grab my tree skirt and place it right on my platen, and I'll show you how to line this up too. Okay, so you can see here that this is going to be on the back of the tree. All right, so we want that to be on the end, and we're going to be printing this area right here, okay? So I'm going to get that nice and straight on there, and you can base it all off of how you typically would a shirt. So this is going to be center, and this is going to be the back. So we want to print this area on the front. All right, so I'm going to grab my heat printing pillow since there are some thick seams there and place that underneath the skirt. Okay, and we're just going to do a quick preheat and test our pressure since I inserted that pillow. All right, and now we can apply our patterns, or no, our foil, sorry about that. So anytime that you are applying foil with patterns, you want to do the foil application first. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with the foil application, it's a two-step process. So I want to point out how we're going to line this up also. Okay, so we have our B here. I want that to be more towards the front so that it's showing up right underneath that tree. Okay, so to be able to line this up correctly, I want to make sure that I know exactly where my B is going to be placed. So I can go ahead and remove that, place that down, and my adhesive is going to apply at a nice light pressure. So we want to make sure anytime we're applying the adhesive, that's the heat activated glue, heat transfer vinyl, in order for our foil sheet to stick to it, we need to apply that at a nice light pressure. So if you're working with a Hotronix, you would want that to read anywhere between a 1 and a 3. So mine's reading at a 2, so I know that it's getting the right application. All right, so that's just a 8-second application. So I can go ahead and peel that carrier back. And anytime you're working with adhesive, you want to make sure that you are doing a material that is very tight woven. So this material was perfect for this application. I will not have to worry about the adhesive wanting to come up. So anytime you're working with foil and adhesive, just make sure you have a nice tight woven fabric that you are applying it to. Sorry, couldn't find the word there. All right, so we're applying our foil application now, and this is going to apply for 10 seconds at a firm pressure. All right, so my temperature is set at 300 degrees, just in case I didn't already mention that. And it's going to apply at 10 seconds at a firm pressure. So if I'm working with a Hotronix, I want my pressure readout to read anywhere between a 7 and a 9. I'm at an 8 right now, so I know that I'm at the perfect pressure for my foil to adhere to the adhesive. Okay, so adhesive and foil are the perfect application, especially for the holidays. It's a very sought after. We see a lot of it in retail, so being able to personalize home decor with it is lucrative to yielding high profits for this season. All right, so I want to point out I'm waiting a little bit because this foil is a cold peel. So I want it to cool completely before I peel it. So I'm just going to remove it from that platen and that pillow that's absorbed a lot of heat and just kind of let some air hit it. Now if I wanted to speed up this process, I could place it on a cold surface and allow that cool temperature to reach the foil. And then I can go ahead and just peel this back. Okay, so that is the application for foil and adhesive. Now I want to add a little bit more personalization in order to get a higher perceived value of the tree skirt. Okay, so a lot of people are printing tree skirts this year, so you want to give them a reason why they would choose yours over someone else's. So being able to do 2 special effect heat transfer vinyls is going to give them a reason, because they're going to see the value in it. Okay, so just need to figure out where this lines up. There we go. Okay, so just need to line that up right there. And then whenever I apply this, I'm just going to, again, apply this for its full application. And my Patterns applies for 10 seconds. So anytime you do that last step, you want to make sure that you are doing it for its full application. Okay, and my Patterns applies at a nice medium pressure, so I wanted to make sure to adjust that pressure so that there is no adhesive coming out on the sides of it. Now you'll notice whenever I peel this carrier sheet back that my foil finish has changed slightly. Okay, so this foil finish went from a very high mirror-like finish to a very low luster finish. So anytime that you apply that foil a second time, it's going to give it a more low luster finish, but it definitely pops off this item nonetheless. You don't have to worry about it dulling it so that it looks completely matte. It still has a very high perceived finish to it. All right, so I'll go ahead and hold this up to the front cam so you can get a really good idea of this finish. Okay, so again, these are very sought after items, and it's definitely popular. It's being seen a lot even on Etsy, a lot of e-commerce sites. We're seeing them on Instagram now coming up in our feeds because they're such a popular buy. So you want to give your customers a reason to purchase yours as opposed to someone else, okay? So being able to utilize those 2 different special effect finishes is very lucrative. The tree skirt, also purchased from Wholesale Boutique and is a Viv & Lou brand, was $16 for the blank. Our heat transfer vinyl cost for Glitter Flake and Patterns, or Glitter Flake and foil actually, was 90 cents. So that includes the adhesive, foil, and glitter. Our labor and overhead is $2.16. Our sell price is $35, which leaves us a profit of $15.94. So we're going to move to some more unique items that are going to be popular, and that is more home decor items. So we saw a stocking, we saw the Santa sack, and we also saw the tree skirt, but we want to kind of take it beyond that and do something that you don't typically do with heat transfer vinyl, and it just kind of opens you up to a world of different things that you can offer for your customers this year. Okay, so we're going to keep it in the fabric family still before we move on to doing wood and chalkboard, and we're going to be just printing this little pennant flag. Okay, very easy to print since it's still a fabric material, and we know our heat transfer vinyl won't have any issue applying to it. We're going to be doing a 3-color application using Fashion-FILM and Glitter Flake. All right, so you'll get to see that tacking method again and see how that all works. All right, so I'm just going to lay this pennant right down onto this 16 by 20 platen, and I'm going to apply it for its 2 to 3 second tack. All right, so I need to adjust my pressure since I had that pillow in there. Make sure I'm at a nice medium pressure, anywhere from 4 to 6. All right, so I can go ahead and peel that carrier back. And I'm going to go ahead and lay in my red glitter flake just to add a little something extra to the graphic. Cover with a cover sheet like I forgot to do last time. Right, and again, glitter flake is another material that you can use the tacking method with. So just another 2 to 3 seconds. We'll peel that carrier back hot and then add our last piece. Okay, so again, this is Fashion-FILM. We're just going to add that there. And this time we'll want to apply for its full application. Now I just want to point out, because I told you earlier that you want to be careful of this Mylar carrier, this Mylar carrier on the fashion film is only covering the glitter flake. The reason we don't have to worry about this creating a mark in the glitter flake is because the glitter flake is a textured vinyl already and it will not pick that up. The only time you have to be careful with that Mylar carrier is whenever you're applying a heat transfer vinyl on top of a smooth heat transfer vinyl, okay? So just keep that in mind whenever you are applying your applications for its final application. All right, so I can go ahead and peel my carrier back. And my pennant flag is complete. So I just want to hold that up there. Okay, so this is perfect for any little gift if you are offering gift items or even home decor items, okay? So this is a perfect item for that. The hanging pennant purchased from a local Hobby Lobby was $2.99, and our heat transfer vinyl for that was 89 cents. So our labor and overhead is ranging in at $1.40, and our sell price is set at $15, which leaves us at a profit of $9.72. So a lot of these items can be offered as either gifting or home decor. So this is a little ornament that I picked up from a local Michael's. And if I didn't point out, the pennant was from Hobby Lobby. Okay, so just so you have an idea on where I sourced these blanks from. If I forgot one, just comment in and I'll be sure to let you know. All right, so what I want to do, since I'm working with a very thick, dense item here, I want to make sure that I am testing my pressure. All right, so I can either leave it here and do it, or I can set it on the pillow. I'm fine with this applying right here because it's a nice flat surface. So I just want to test my pressure and make sure that it's definitely going to apply to that wood just fine. Okay, so I know I'm at a nice, good pressure. I can feel it just based off of the surface and how hot it got from that heat. And all I'm going to do is apply my glitter flake directly onto that. Okay, so glitter flake can be applied to wood. It's not like it's going to be laundered or anything, going through that wash cycle, so I don't have to worry about this falling or chipping off. It's going to be very durable on there. Again, I'm just tacking that for a couple seconds because I'm about to lay in another color. So I'm just going to remove this carrier if I can get it picked up there. And then I'm going to apply a little extra customization with the hollies. And now I can apply for my full application. All right, so we're going to do it for 10 seconds at 302 degrees. So if you didn't know, Glitter Flake is a new application for its time or in temperature. Okay, so its temperature can apply as low as 302 degrees now. So keep that in mind whenever you're printing hard to print fabrics that necessarily scorch underneath high heat. All right, so just remove those carriers and my personalized ornament is complete. All right, so I can hold that up there for you. You can see that nice glitter finish. So this is something you don't necessarily see on ornaments anymore. Okay, so they're either a full bulb and then they're putting decal material on it, but wood finishes are very popular now for that farmhouse decor option. Okay, so you have a lot of these wood and metal options that are very popular and very easy to personalize with heat transfer vinyl. Our ornament purchase from a local Michael's craft store was $1.79. Our heat transfer vinyl cost is 10 cents. Labor and overhead for this, very low, just 24 cents. Sell price is $10 and our profit is $7.87. And for our last but certainly not least application, we're going to be doing a Christmas countdown. And this is a chalkboard. So we're going to be able to offer our customers something to personalize day to day as they go on. So you'll be applying glitter flake to it, and then they can completely customize it with their chalk pen or chalk stick directly after you sell it. Okay, so I'm applying this with glitter flake because it's a very sought after material for the holidays. Now you can use matte finishes with this, you can use foil finishes, whatever your heart desires. I just wanted to show you that you can do it with glitter flake very easily because it is so sought after for this time of year. All right, so I'm just going to adjust this slightly. All right, so I'm going to apply my application or my glitter flake for just that 2 seconds. Going to adjust my pressure here since it's a little more dense than that ornament. And I can peel this carrier back. Whoops, not getting enough pressure up here. I'll just place that right back down. Make sure it's going to line up here. That's what's nice about glitter flake. It has a nice tacky carrier. So what I'm going to do is take that one off right now. The adhesive is not ruined, so just keep in mind if that happens, our adhesive is still intact back there. So I'm just going to hold that one there until I line up this piece, and then I'll place that back in just to make sure that I'm getting it nice and lined up with the white here. Okay, so this little area is where they can put their countdown days. Right, and we'll just tack that for 2 to 3 seconds. Then we can peel that carrier back. All right, so some of it's stuck there. No worries, we're going to get this thing to apply. I'm convinced it's because of the tacking method. All right, let's apply this for its full application. It's very close to the edge of the platen there. All right, so just keep in mind if your adhesive is not adhering to this, it's a user error. So at this point, it's my fault that it's not adhering, but it can definitely adhere just fine. There we go. And we'll apply our little quotation so that they have somewhere to put their numbers. All right, so we'll apply it right about there. And we'll get it for its full application. So glitter flake, 10 seconds, 302 degrees. And once this applies, it'll be completely ready to sell at your shop. All right, so this is definitely something lucrative to add for add-on sales or home decor items, okay? So this was picked up from a local Hobby Lobby. Just being able to print on this and create something that a family can do together just by adding those numbers in here. I'm pointing to the wrong surface there, but that is where you can add the personalization there with the chalk, okay? So I'll hold this up close so you can see that finish on there. Again, this is going to be more sought after, or people will be more likely to buy this because it has that glitter finish, and glitter is so popular for this time of year. The hanging chalkboard purchased at a local Hobby Lobby was $7.99. The heat transfer vinyl cost was 58 cents, and our labor and overhead was $1.36. Sell price is $30, and our profit is $20.07. So we'll go ahead and go back to the table, and actually the item that we just pressed is our giveaway item for the go-to webinar attendees. So I'm going to have Joe here who's with me go ahead and pick a number and let me know who the winner is. We'll discuss that, and then we'll go over some best practices for selling for the holiday season.
Okay, Jenna, your winner for today will be Danny Angus.
Danny Angus. Okay, so our winner for today for the countdown is Danny Angus. So just let us know all the information, where the address that you want us to ship this to, and we'll get it sent right out to you. All right, so before we conclude today's live class, I have like a smorgasbord of mess up here and fun items, so let me get that out of the way. All right, so some of the best practices that I wanted to go over with you today are creating your product strategy. Okay, so that is what comes down to what you're going to offer for the holiday season. So I gave you a bunch of ideas that you can utilize at your business that would really yield high profits for the holiday season. So just keep some of those in mind for whenever you're decorating different items and products for you to sell at your business. Definitely comes down to a lot of items that reach different demographics as well. So I mentioned that a little bit about the custom apparel, and then of course your home decor items and your gifting items, okay? So source top selling items. So we definitely went over a lot of different items, garment styles, accessories that are definitely high up there in the price range, but definitely important for your customers to see that you can offer and decorate something that's higher end. So just keep that in mind whenever you're sourcing blanks to decorate, because they're definitely easy to decorate, as I showed you today, as long as you're following along those tips and tricks. So don't feel too overwhelmed or just kind of like, oh, I can't offer that. It's definitely something you can do. So definitely just make the jump and offer those high selling items, because people are more willing to spend more on an item for someone else. Okay, so whenever I'm buying for myself, I will most likely look for something lower priced. But if I'm buying for something for someone else, I want to give them the best. So I'm going to be more willing to pay more for an item. For those example, those booties that were $25 for a blank, I pay $50 for those to have a monogram on them and be able to gift them to my sister for Christmas. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It doesn't come to that end buyer. It comes to the person that you're looking to gift that item to. Okay. Right, and also create holiday designs. So whenever you're creating your designs, you don't want to keep them as you typically would throughout the year. So right now you may be creating custom t-shirts that people can wear every day, but you definitely want to add a little bit more to it. Or even if you're doing monograms, instead of just doing a circle around the monogram, do holiday frames. So there's a variety of different holiday graphics that you can incorporate into your product line and offer it as a selling product, okay? All right, and then of course, show off your stuff, okay? So you want to make sure that you have a showroom of something. If you are a brick and mortar shop where people come in and buy from you right there, have a nice showroom that kind of shows them like, hey, we're getting ready for Christmas, we're offering all this stuff, come in and see all the stuff we have to offer. If you don't have a brick and mortar shop, putting it on social such as Instagram and Facebook is going to be very lucrative, because people not even in your area but from everywhere can see what you have to offer, right? And even doing both of those is very lucrative too. All right, so just make sure that you are following all of these guidelines that we've given you today in order to create very high sales for this holiday season. Before we wrap it up, I want to make sure that we are covering all the questions in GoToWebinar. So do we have any questions, Joe?
Yes, Kathleen has asked, what was the pressure you used for the vegan bag, and also is that the Bella Canvas 3005 that you're wearing?
I'm not sure about this shirt. I know it's the Cosmic Tee in black and white. I'm not exactly sure of the exact number, but if you type in Cosmic Tee into Sanmar, you can definitely find it there. And then the vegan leather bag, I used a medium pressure, so nothing that's too heavy where we want to melt any of the plastic that's in that leather. Okay, so vegan leather is faux leather, and it has plastic in it, so we want to make sure that that's not melting too much, okay, enough to completely ruin that blank. So a nice medium to light pressure, anywhere between a 3 to 6, will apply that fashion film durably and not enough to melt that, okay? Any more questions?
Yes, can you explain again, why was it that you did the foil application first and then the pattern?
Okay, so whenever you are pairing patterns with foil, you want to make sure that you are applying the foil first, because the foil will actually adhere to the patterns. Okay, so if I were to put that foil sheet over top of the patterns, pieces of that foil would actually adhere to the pattern. So that's whenever you want to make sure that you are applying it the first application and then the patterns as a second application. It only works that way with patterns. So if you are pairing it with any other heat transfer vinyl such as Glitter Flake, Premium Plus, or Fashion Film, you don't have to worry about it applying to those. So you can use the foil as the second application.
Is the new lower temperature for Glitter Flake, is that just for new stock, or can they use that on what they already have in their purchase?
You can use it for what you already have. So all we did was took our Glitter Flake that we've always had and tested it at a new application and put it through that wash cycle. So originally we didn't know we could go as low as 302 degrees, but we do now, and it definitely works for the glitter flake you already have stocked at your shop.
And then finally, we just want to let everyone know that a complete version of this broadcast will be available early next week on stahlstv.com, and it will have the pricing slides in there. We apologize for the Facebook errors today.
Thank you, Joe. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me today, and just stay tuned for that broadcast. It's going to be uploaded to the site to get pricing information. Have a good one, and thanks for joining me.